The young master is in the process of a thorough checkup after his intense fight. His servant Decker is concerned about his condition and insists on checking his pulse. Suspecting the awakening of Zeke's aura, Decker then activates his own aura to assess the situation, probing Zeke's aura thoroughly. It becomes clear that Zeke's abilities are impressive. Decker wonders if Zeke could be a Blue Knight, as he exhibits remarkable control over his aura, something only skilled knights achieve. Zeke's skills go beyond the basic training and hint at a potential beyond Blue Knight status. It is implied that Zeke is growing closer to this higher level. Zeke's thoughts and the system interface reveal his awareness of his progression. He notes that with his increasing proficiency in skills like Slash, he is closer to mastering his abilities. However, Zeke is unsure if using the skills directly impacts their level. Finally, as Decker leaves, Zeke reflects on his own evolution. He prepares for the challenges ahead. The protagonist begins to process the unusual abilities he's now gaining. As he ponders over his skills, he notes that the system's features are activated automatically based on his actions, such as the draconian skill becoming accessible. He wonders whether this new skill is different from class skills and what impact it might have. He also starts to understand that monsters, which he can defeat to earn karma points, are linked to dungeons, places where knights refine their skills and grow stronger. He wonders about his own regressed state, speculating that it could be related to an ancient relic. But his understanding remains fragmented. As he continues to practice with his abilities, he observes the two main powers in the world, aura and mana. Aura is linked to the knights, who use it to reinforce their blades, while mages handle mana differently through circles. He reflects on his own limitations, unable to access both the Dantean and circle systems, which he feels is a cruel fate. His training intensifies, and although it's only been a short time, he feels the strain on his body. He activates his healing and recovery skills, wondering how they might help him during such rigorous training. He realizes these skills are rare, and using them openly could mark him as an irregular, which might lead to complications. However, he continues, determined to push through the pain and grow stronger, knowing that only through perseverance can he reclaim the strength he once had. As the narrative shifts to a week later, Zeke is becoming more known, and rumors swirl around the cafeteria. His recent actions have led others to speculate about his mysterious transformation. Among them is Owen Zimmons, who engages in playful banter about Zeke's potential in the upcoming duels. Though some mock him, there's a growing sense that Zeke is far from the weakling others once thought him to be. Zeke is called to the arena by his opponent, Reyna Tarun. Zeke stands in the middle of the arena while Reyna approaches confidently with her large claymore. She chooses Zeke as her opponent, and Zeke accepts the challenge, lifting his sword with determination. The fight begins, and Reyna moves quickly, attacking with swift and precise strikes. Zeke, shocked by her speed, reacts to block, but struggles to keep up with her strength. As the battle continues, Zeke realizes Reyna is much stronger than he expected, and the fight intensifies. He can sense the gaps in her technique. No matter how hard Reyna tries, Zeke continues to overpower her with ease. Even though she senses openings and gaps in his defense, her attacks are futile. Despite her best efforts, her sword can never quite reach him. It feels as though Zeke is toying with her, always staying one step ahead. Every time Reyna attempts to strike, Zeke deliberately opens gaps, almost as if he's inviting her to attack. But no matter how fast she reacts or how precise her moves are, her sword never finds its target. Zeke is completely in control, and it becomes clear that he is not only outmatching her in strength, but also in his ability to read and predict her every move. Zeke continues to be in the intense battle with Reyna. Zeke is now analyzing the situation and realizes that the sword duel he's engaged in is like a training duel meant to teach him. Despite his struggles, he is determined to keep fighting. Reyna, however, proves to be a formidable opponent with her skills. Zeke starts fighting seriously, unleashing his full strength. Reyna reacts quickly, evading his powerful strikes with speed and precision. The battle intensifies as Zeke no longer holds back, pushing Reyna to her limits. Demonstrating the raw intensity of their combat, Zeke attempts to stay composed. Zeke throws away little stones to the face of the opponent, dealing a little shock to her. Once she turns the head on him, She sees a strong attack, begin afraid that her head might get cut off. She uses aura and make Zeke's blade go off from his hand. The teachers at the academy are the only ones who notice Zeke's clever move. As the sword strikes towards Reina's throat, she activates her aura at the last moment, just in time to counter the blow. However, she is still shocked by the speed of the attack. Not stopping there, Zeke launches another assault, this time without his sword. He surprises everyone by landing a brutal punch directly to Reina's throat. With her sword lowered and her hand instinctively clutching her throat, Reina struggles to maintain control. The other students who are watching the match are appalled by this cheap move from Zeke. Despite this, Reina analyzes the situation and quickly realizes that if Zeke had a dagger, she would have been finished, unalived in that very moment. With Zeke now standing bare-handed and ready to continue, he challenges Reina to carry on the fight. But after processing everything, Reina acknowledges her defeat and concedes the match to Zeke, leaving him as the victor. In other place, the scene starts with the castle in flames, as it is engulfed by destruction. The chaos around is felt with intense sounds of cracking and explosions. In a different setting, a calm and seemingly unaffected scene unfolds in a room with a man sipping tea. His calm demeanor is in stark contrast to the chaos outside. He is identified as Abel, with a companion named William. William, surprised by the calmness of the situation, comments on how Abel can drink tea despite the ongoing crisis. Abel replies casually, mentioning that it is just a moment to observe the situation. The two discuss the blessings rite and a certain awakening that is of great interest to them. As the conversation flows, it's clear that there are things afoot beyond the crisis. As they plan to visit someone soon, perhaps someone related to the upcoming events, Zeke is reflecting on his status and the results of his recent victory. He opens a status window, surprised by the high-level skills that have been unlocked in him after his intense battle. It shows his rapid progression in abilities like healing and critical strike, which he's already mastering. Zeke is feeling both amazed and perplexed about the growth he's experienced, especially in comparison to his previous life as a low-rank knight. After a moment of contemplation, Zeke receives a message from Decker, a figure who informs him about the upcoming events. He's been given a deadline of 2 hours to prepare, signaling an important event on the horizon. Zeke's attention is drawn to the looming journey ahead. As the time for the blessing rite is approaching, where powerful individuals are expected to gather. As the scene shifts, the narrative zooms in on the Draker family's main estate, which is famous for its historical and legendary significance. The blessing rite is a deeply important event there. A large ceremonial procession occurs, and Zeke is aware that he's under scrutiny from powerful figures. Even as he quietly contemplates his future role in the proceedings, the main event begins with the announcement of the blessing rite. Zeke, who feels the weight of the situation, wonders about the potential disruptions caused by his newfound position and ability. As the ceremony proceeds, Zeke tries to maintain control over his emotions, even as unexpected figures, such as Abel, a prominent figure in the family, make their entrance, adding tension to the unfolding drama. Zeke's aura is awakened. He feels a strong surge of energy emanating as though he's unlocking more power. Acknowledging the event, Zeke internally compares his previous experience to the current one, reflecting on how everything feels different this time around. As Aaron's turn is called, there's a moment of anxious excitement in the room. The lights glow intensely, signifying that this is no ordinary awakening. There's talk of a rare occurrence, the kind where those with special abilities, like mana inhibition, are revealed. These are individuals who can suppress magical energies, a trait that makes them even more dangerous. Reina, now the center of attention, is about to face a powerful transformation. The scene shifts to the reactions of those around, discussing what might happen next. The family head is seen reacting to the moment, acknowledging the power contained in this rare transformation. As the red lights intensify, it is clear that this will be a significant event for Reina's future. As the blessing continues, we shift from Reina's moment to focus on Zeke, whose turn has come. Zeke, with a determined expression, steps forward. The audience is curious and tense, awaiting what will happen next. They all anticipate a great spectacle, as Zeke's status in the family is highly regarded. As Zeke takes his place in front of the magical lamps, the tension in the air becomes palpable. These lamps are enchanted to react to the user's mana, and they glow in response to Zeke's presence. There is a distinct shift in the atmosphere, a crackle of magic charging the air. The crowd collectively holds their breath as the lamps begin to glow, signaling the start of his awakening. The lights from the lamps turn fiery red, which is a clear indication of a pure-blood awakening. Zeke stands tall and resolute, absorbing the magic that surges around him. The ceremonial energies swirl around him, empowering him. The ancient dragon's blessing, which has been sealed within his soul since birth, begins to activate. Zeke calmly accepts the transformation, his face betraying no emotion despite the incredible power that is now surging through him. His mastery over this energy is already beginning to show. The audience, however, is not just watching his physical transformation. They are witnessing the rise of someone who will likely change the course of their world. Amid the visual spectacle, the ceremony screen confirms Zeke's new identity. The audience is in real shock because they don't understand why there is yellow and red lights. Zeke doesn't want to attract attention, so he is not talking for it. Abel speaks up to the audience to embrace the two pure-blood awakening. He asks the audience to celebrate this event. The guest realizes this and starts to celebrate. Abel asks the instructors to go and get a glove to the newest member. Zeke wears it, and it appears that is quite hefty. Zeke understands Abel's intention and feels like shit that is accepting his help. As the event closes, everyone goes to party except Zeke, as he is trying to go to a training room. Zeke is summoned for a more intimate interaction as Abel approaches him with a smug grin, inviting him to shake hands. Zeke, though hesitant, reluctantly agrees, all the while internally mocking the situation. Abel's joviality doesn't fool Zeke, who finds the gesture distasteful but plays along to maintain his image. With the handshake uncompleted, Abel comments on Zeke's unusual response, brushing off Zeke's discomfort and preparing to further assert his influence. Meanwhile, Zeke struggles with the interaction, hiding his disdain as he watches Abel move on to the next part of the event. The audience continues to murmur, recognizing Zeke's potential and the power in his veins. Zeke is visibly relieved as he breathes out deeply, commenting to himself that he almost suffocated in a confined space. He looks around and realizes he is fine, but his thoughts shift to the fact that pure blood awakenings all have the ability to inhibit mana. This is something that sets them apart from regular individuals, as the ability reflects their opposition to dragons, the source of mana. Zeke reflects on his situation and remembers that if he had been a pure blood, he would have been facing some challenges with mana lamps. But he notes that there were no issues with the lamps due to the nature of his abilities, leading him to think that something isn't quite right. He proceeds to open a window displaying his class stats, revealing that he now has a unique class, Immortal, bestowed by the blessing of the ancient dragon. He continues to analyze the system window, noting his newly unlocked skills. Among them, mana reflection catches his attention, while the healing abilities are expected. The reflection of mana is categorized as a skill, not a passive trait. Further investigation leads him to understand that while mana lamps were unaffected, a significant loss of class-related data was evident in the system's classification, terminal. He muses about how his awakening wasn't registered under the expected classification, and this confusion grows as the terminal's system attempts to classify him further. As he digs deeper, Zeke's curiosity peaks, leading him to unlock his draconian skills, including Dragon Eyes and Might of the Dragon, both of which enhance his sensory and combat prowess. With the unlock of these skills, Zeke begins to understand more about his potential. In the following moments, Zeke tests his newfound power by activating the Dragon Eyes skill, which reveals detailed information about his surroundings. However, while it provides more clarity, it doesn't change much in his immediate perception. He sees a statue in the garden and realizes it might be more useful than it first appeared, hinting at further possibilities for him to explore. Zeke, now outside and testing the limits of his newly acquired powers. He stands still, momentarily confused as his abilities seem to trigger in unexpected ways. Zeke is still figuring out his powers, looking at an object with curiosity and a slight sense of confusion. A window appears with detailed information about the object, listing its origins and construction materials. Zeke's face contorts in surprise, unable to comprehend why he is receiving such data on simple objects. The overwhelming influx of information gives him a headache, and his body reacts, his fiery eyes showing his unease. He wonders aloud if all draconian abilities are this taxing. Zeke activates several class skills. He inadvertently triggers Vigor Recovery, which begins to show its effects. He sits down, looking slightly overwhelmed, and wonders why healing, which he didn't intend to use, was activated instead. The abilities around him seem to function passively. Zeke, now fascinated, tests the system, further by applying his healing factor to a self-inflicted wound. When he cuts himself, his injury rapidly heals in front of him, leaving him even more in awe of the overwhelming power he now possesses. Zeke's thoughts turn more practical as he contemplates the Academy's lengthy journey and his accelerated plans. Determined, he resolves to finish it, all within 2 years instead of 5, expressing his newfound confidence in the process.